you just got back from 4 cities, 4 days, talking on stress management. How'd that go?
It went really well. Went down there on Sunday, talked to a company, and about 20% of his staff was able to come, and we just talked about, I kind of made it a Q&A and asked them questions about what stresses them out, what internal stresses, what job stresses, what society stresses, overall culture stresses. And so we had some great conversations, and then I went to one of the like I said, 3 more cities and talked to different clients there with their employees. And so overall, in the last 3-4 days, I was able to talk to almost about 130 people about stress management. What really, it was pretty consistent across the board on time management was one of their stress triggers. Making sure that they're at the right place at the right time. And so we talked about practical stuff. Yeah, I didn't go over their head. I didn't have, research says and Dr. So-and-so say. I needed it to be something that they could take home and use.
And for those that don't know, you oversee and work with a team of chaplains in all of South Texas. So you had some of your local chaplains join you and be available, and I guess some of them spoke as well.
Yes, yeah.
And so I'm sure that was fun to get to see your team out in the field.
It was. My chaplain coach was there, and then 2 other chaplains, married couple, and it was kind of a learning curve for them because they'd never done a lunch and learn, and they never really, it's not like they couldn't talk about it, but they just wanted to make sure they were hitting the right points. And so it was a learning curve for them as well. So I was able to see one of my male chaplains down. He was an instructor in a college. And so when I let him have the floor, it was just, he went right into teacher mode. And it was really great to see. Even though I didn't understand the language he was speaking in, I could understand what he was saying. It was kind of an interesting dynamic.
So what were some of the themes that you saw as you went? Because you had a wide variety of people, 4 very different clients.
That's right.
From restaurant environment to city environment, city employees to, medical environment and so on. Were there any common themes among, because you had all ages, all walks of life, even different nationalities, different native languages, any themes?
Like I said, it was time management. I asked questions like, what do you do when, you have stress hits you? A couple of people jokingly said we hide. We just go hide. And I said, that doesn't accomplish much. It actually piles on more stress. Family was a stress thing because they had a scope from young teenagers, kids, to aging parents, and how to manage that on top of their daily routine. And I could speak to that because you and I have had that similar scenario where, we had a small young family, and my mom came to live with us for like 16 years, which was half of our kids' lives, and they were moved out in college, and she was still here. so I could speak to that, and but I also was able to speak to the city that I talked to had their police and fire chief there, and they see stress on a level that we can't even fathom. We can't even explain. And so how to bring some practical stuff home to them, was talking about how we can leave the stressors at the office and not bring them home to the family, so that because there's always stress there. And stress is it's not going to go away. It's just how we manage it, how we cope with it.
Were people pretty open?
They were open. They joked about some stuff. I actually gave some coping techniques, and some of them were somewhat silly. Take a picnic. People like picnic. Who has time for a picnic? Or go to a ball game, which a lot of people in this season goes to ball games because their kids are in sports. That's kind of a given. But some of the others was make a paper plane. And I was talking to them. I was like, why did we stop having fun? Because stress gets to us so much that we stopped enjoying our life and doing the things as a kid that we used to do. Ride a bike or go for a walk. And We talked about sensory type of connections, to take your shoes off and walk in grass, and go outside and feel the sun. Just change your environment when stress hits you too hard.
Were any of the people at your different sessions surprised at the simplicity of the message?
Yes. One of the things I did talk to all of them about was how many have been on an airplane. How many of you have been on an airplane? Probably half of them have been on an airplane. Some of them had never been on an airplane. So I kind of went through the routine of what the stewardess does before the plane takes off. If cabin pressure changes, or put your seatbelt on, cabin pressure changes, there's these oxygen masks that drop down. And I was on a plane one day and it dawned on me, you put your mask on first before you help other people. And so much in our society, we have it reversed. We don't take care of ourselves first. We pour out to other people. And that was eye-opening to...
Especially in service industries, the restaurant industry, the healthcare employees you were talking to, and the fire, the police, they're all service industry.
All service and all hands on deck, 24/7, almost like my chaplains. And they were just like, how do I put my mask on first when there's somebody calling for help? And so I was like, well, the downtimes, because not everybody works 24/7. But when your shift changes, make sure you're doing some self-care. You're doing, you're taking the walks, you're riding the bikes, you're spending time with family and enjoying that time. So that when stress, the real heavy hitter stress comes, you can walk into it with a freshness.
That's good. So a lot of people that listen to this podcast are either in leadership positions or aspiring to be. Are there any signs that, we're not licensed therapists or counselors, but are there things that us everyday people can just watch for in our employees or even in our homes? What are some of those things we can watch for?
Some signs is when you've noticed an employee or even family members that have been engaged with you for meetings or dinner time or whatever that looks like, and then all of a sudden they withdraw. They're very quiet. You can read the room kind of a hush. And so you notice that, David in your meeting is not, or Susie's not really participating like she used to. Something's got them heavy, weighted down. It might be related to the meeting, but that's the conversation you can have afterwards. Like, hey, I noticed you weren't engaged like you typically are. Is everything okay with you? Making sure they're okay before you're, talk about the task at hand.
Any other, so withdrawal or being quiet, are there any other practical signs that people are stressing? Like losing their temper, and normally they don't.
Yeah. Hostility comes in. Yeah, hostility comes into a situation that you don't typically see a person in that realm. It's like, what's wrong with you? And unfortunately, because we're stressed when we're having, real important meetings or a task has to be done like right now. When that person's stressed, the person conducting the meeting is also stressed. And so when this person fires off a comment, this person reacts.
Good, yeah.
Or typically reacts. But my experience has been where if it's out of the norm, to address it, not in front of everybody.
So as you said, make the paper airplane, stuff like that, were any things that you left those that lead teams or people, little fun things they could do in their meetings? Did you guys talk about anything like that other than throwing paper airplanes at each other?
Well, I actually did say, hey, when you're in the next meeting and things are kind of quiet, be prepared. Come to the meeting with an airplane and just throw it across the room. Lighten the room, and depending on who's in the meeting, if you have some heavy hitters or a high client, it may not be it might be the appropriate one, but if it's getting heavy, I talked about having meetings in a different area, like go outside and have a meeting around a picnic table instead of in the office where it feels closed up. We talked about stuff like that. And then to make notes in a meeting if it's before reacting. before blurting it out that you're not in agreement with something, write some notes down so you can talk about it off at another time.
That's great. We agreed before we started this would be a pretty short segment. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I also engaged with them in a spiritual journey. And where do they put their trust? Some people may not have a spiritual journey, and that's okay. But the ones that did have a spiritual journey, or even those that don't, we can address those, not always being so frustrated with the situation. It's a mindset of how we approach the day. So instead of approaching the day with this long list of to-dos, and I don't know how to read the elephant in the room, is also start writing down things you're grateful for. I'm grateful for a nice house. I'm grateful for air conditioning. I'm grateful for...
I'm always grateful for air conditioning.
Food
in
on my
Texas.
Right, and food on my table. And sometimes we forget about those common things that are right in front of us because we're so overwhelmed with the task at hand or the pressures of unexpected situations. And I kept addressing them, set yourself up to succeed. Make lists. I said, I even brought you into the conversation. I said,
I wasn't there.
I know. I was like, when I'm free-spirited, I have a hard time making lists, but over a period of time, I've realized that lists can be my friend, not necessarily my task manager, but my friend to assist me with things that I need to do. So I said, hey, if there's things that you need to do that are really like time-oriented and you need to get 3 to 5 of those done, put that on your list for the day, that you know that those 3 to 5 have to be done before the end of the day. The list might be a lot longer, but you can roll those into another day based on, deadlines and stuff.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing this, but some good practical advice that we can put to use.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Glad to have you home. Thanks for joining us for this episode of A Leader's Journey podcast. If you enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up and remember to subscribe to our channel.